The vote goes through. Applause echoes. A Kumeyaay flag rises beside MLS officials as cameras flash around a $500 million announcement. On paper, Mohamed Mansour is the control owner, but the equal partner standing on that stage is a sovereign nation with its own laws, the Sikkim Band. If this works, it redraws who gets to own major American teams. San Diego FC enters as Team 30 with a record fee and an unusual 50-50 equity pairing. We're going to unpack why MLS made this bet, how Sikkim structured it, and what it means for the next wave of sports deals. To understand that moment, go back to the hard math of MLS expansion. Fees have climbed from 8 figures to headline numbers, driven by market scarcity, streaming optimism, and tight stadium and ownership requirements. The pitch is simple: limited slots, rising media upside, and a fast-growing soccer audience in the US. But San Diego was special. After the Chargers left, the city carried a major league void with a strong youth soccer base and cross-border culture. MLS wanted West Coast depth, Apple wanted more Sunbelt inventory, and San Diego's demographics, affluent, international, soccer fluent, fit the model. The only question was who could meet the league's criteria without hesitation. Enter two forces. Mohamed Mansour brought global capital and the right to dream system, an academy network that builds talent as assets, not expenses. The Sikkim Band brought something different, a diversified balance sheet beyond gaming, local permanence, and a political footprint that could anchor the franchise in the region. Together, they formed an approximate 50-50 equity pairing, with Mansour designated as the single governor, the one MLS requires for governance clarity. Data mattered. The expansion fee, $500 million. Sikwin's direct equity, north of $200 million. The largest known investment by a federally recognized tribe in a U.S. sports franchise. The training and performance center budget, about $150 million for a right to dream academy that would become the heartbeat of the club's long-term value. Here's the quiet strategic shift. In MLS, stadiums are necessary, but systems create compounding value. An academy can produce players, transfer fees, and club identity for decades, and San Diego's performance center wouldn't just be anywhere. To grasp why that location was everything, you have to step into a different legal reality, one that begins on Sikkim land, under sovereign governance, with rules that change the economics from the ground up. Start with a light primer. Federally recognized tribes are domestic dependent nations. On reservation land, they exercise self-governance, regulating business, land use, and civil affairs largely outside state and local control. That isn't a loophole. It's the legal framework that defines tribal sovereignty in the US. Now put a $150 million training complex on Sikkim land. Property taxes, not assessed the way a city parcel would be. Permitting, handled through tribal processes, which can be faster and more aligned with long-term plans. Operations, greater flexibility on employment rules, vendor policies, and timelines. The P&L shifts. Over decades, those avoided costs and time advantages turn into real competitive edge. But there's a tension every sophisticated partner needs to reconcile. Sovereign immunity. A tribal nation generally can't be sued in non-tribal court without an explicit waiver. For leagues and investors, that uncertainty is a risk. The solution is negotiation. Limited waivers tailored to the partnership with clear dispute resolution terms. It's not surrendering sovereignty, it's designing predictability so capital can move with confidence. MLS historically resisted ownership by governmental entities. This deal signals a carefully structured exception. The message, with proper waivers and governance controls, one control owner, defined decision rights, sovereign partners can fit within league bylaws. That alone is precedent. What stabilizes the long-term capital? Casino cash flows underwrite patience. Sikwin's portfolio isn't just gaming. Hotels, real estate, financial services, and now sports. Diversification cushions cyclical dips, and converting a portion of annual marketing into equity-backed team spend is marketing alchemy. Instead of renting brand exposure at 5 patient belt. Meanwhile, the Right to Dream network reframes costs as asset creation. Develop players locally and through the global pipeline. Sell at the right time, reinvest. In a league where transfer economics are maturing, academies can become profit centers and identity machines. That's why the training center matters more than one more amenity in a stadium. There's a community capital dimension. Team ownership cements Sikkim as a civic anchor, front row in regional conversations that affect infrastructure, tourism, and policy. When you're woven into the city's sports fabric, relationships that protect broader tribal interests get stronger. That's strategic defense, not just offense. Here's a micro story from the deal phase. In a late boardroom session, the site plan for the academy becomes the hinge. City land means property taxes, multiple agencies, uncertain timelines. Tribal land means clarity, speed, and control. The slide changes, and so do the risk models. Suddenly, lifetime NPV on the development turns from acceptable to compelling. The legal team starts drafting the exact waiver language the league needs to see. While that was happening in San Diego, an internal MLS memo focused on something else: operator stability. The league wanted a local partner with permanent roots and aligned incentives. Sequin checked both boxes: capitalized, invested in the region, and positioned for decades, not election cycles. Of course, local governments worry about tax base erosion and land use. Sequin has a track record of voluntary agreements and payments to offset impacts. That history doesn't erase tension, but it builds trust over time. A currency is valuable as cash when projects scale. The immediate impacts are tangible. Sponsorship ROI compounds inside an owned platform. Franchise values in MLS have tracked upward, and a sovereign-backed asset strengthens the tribe's balance sheet. The long arc: a sovereign nation integrating global sport into its economic engine, and a league gaining a template for new kinds of capital. The mechanics explain the edge. Now the real question is how this model rewires who gets to play at the top table of American sports finance. Start with the comparisons. The Mohegan tribe bought the Connecticut Sun, moved the team into their resort ecosystem, and just agreed to sell at a record valuation. Wilton Rancheria took a majority stake in Sacramento Republic in the USL. The Seneca Nation entered the National Lacrosse League. Those were important steps, but San Diego is the breakthrough. The first major men's pro team where a tribal nation holds equal equity with the control owner. Here's the alignment. Mansour brings global capital and the right to dream pipeline. Sequin brings sovereign permanence and regional credibility. He hedges execution and political risk by pairing with a local nation that won't relocate or flip with market moods. They scale beyond gaming into global sport, converting marketing spend into equity and anchoring community relationships that touch everything from infrastructure to tourism. Is this replicable? In leagues with flexible bylaws and expansion appetite, MLS, NWSL, USL, yes, if governance clarity and limited waivers are in place. In leagues that restrict governmental ownership, NFL, NBA doors are narrower, but not locked, especially for minority stakes or arena real estate partnerships on sovereign land. The gate is the legal design: clear dispute resolution, one governor, and asset separation between team ops in the city and training assets on tribal land. What's the real ROI? Political capital and balance sheet diversification. Tickets and media splits matter, but they're not the primary driver. The franchise appreciates if MLS fees keep inflating and Apple's media upside compounds. The academy can turn talent into assets. Meanwhile, Sequin's sovereign-backed platform strengthens resilience across cycles. Risk doesn't disappear. Policy shifts can pressure compacts. Public scrutiny rises if tax trade-offs feel one-sided. On-field performance could lag. Diversified income buffers those dips, and voluntary agreements can preempt backlash. The architecture is the safety net: training center on sovereign land, city-based operations, explicit immunity waivers, and a governance map the league can live with. The human element completes the flywheel. A tribal youth sees a path into scouting, media, sports science, or front office roles tied to a global network that changes families, then generations. If San Diego wins off the field, stable operations, credible academy output, visible community returns, it tells every league a simple thing: sovereign capital isn't an edge case, it's a partner class. Bring it back to year one. If the pipeline produces even one sale that pays down the academy's carrying cost, if sponsors renew because the platform is owned, and if political doors open faster when the tribe shows up as co-owner, the model validates. That signal will travel far beyond San Diego. Insert 1. Equal equity versus control owner means optics and decision rights. Leagues want one governor to avoid stalemates, but equal equity signals true partnership, shared upside, shared veto on big moves. Insert 2. Your P&L shifts when heavy capex sits on sovereign land. Property tax relief and permitting control reduce lifetime costs, while team ops in the city keep fan access and municipal ties. Insert 3. Sovereign immunity isn't a brick wall, it's a negotiation. Limited waivers and defined arbitration give partners certainty without undermining sovereignty. Insert 4. Counterintuitive ROI, political capital. The team is a seat at every regional table, converting marketing spend into equity that appreciates. Insert 5. The blueprint. Sovereign training assets, city operations, one governor, defined waivers, academy pipeline. This deal reframes ownership. Sovereign capital as operator, hedge, and long-term anchor. If San Diego's model holds, the next gatekeepers won't be only billionaires, but nations. Want the deeper dive on MLS fees and Apple's media math? Watch the next episode. Subscribe to stay sharp on the deals reshaping sports.